What's up, guys? Welcome back to season 1, episode 8 of the Save the Best for Last podcast. I'm kind of shook right now thinking that we're on episode 8. Like, we're almost at the end of season 1, but I'm not even going to think about that because I'll get upset of how leaps and bounds things have gone for us. So let's get right into it. Today's guest, this intro is like a book. So if you want to just fast forward and I'll give you like a brief synopsis of everything I'm about to read, this has to be one of the most well-rounded, well-awarded women I've ever met in my life. So buckle up because we got a long intro here. Today's guest has won 6 state championships and 1 in her high school career at Lakota West High School. She was a high school All-American. She was a high school first-team All-State, All-District, and Region. She was a part of the U16, U18, and U20 U.S. national team camp call-up. She has 2 international caps versus China and Netherlands with the USO. Wait, correct me with this. 2 international caps with China and Netherlands with USA Ohio State.
That is during, I was already at Ohio State.
While you did
happened.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the time frame.
Got it. So, meaning she was able to compete in 2 international championships while playing with Ohio State with the U.S. women's team.
Yeah.
Got it. I told you it's going to get real intricate here, folks. Okay. So, on top of that, she is all Big Ten second team in 2023, Big Ten all tournament team 2022, Big Ten all freshman team 2021. She was called up and trained with the U.S. women's U20 team over the summer of 2022. She's second team all region, OSU scholar athlete, Ohio State captain, 2024 player to watch, 2022 and 2023 Big Ten preseason player to watch. And I bet she forgot some because we'll get into this, but this individual I have known from a young age as just being one of the most athletic, amazing women to watch in the sport of soccer, which I have a lot of passion for because I grew up playing it. And anyone in Ohio, but not just in Ohio, but in the U.S., a lot of people are familiar with her name because she's played all the way to a national level. So before I get into it, without further ado, I would like to welcome the one and only Sydney Jones on the Save the Best for Last podcast.
Hi.
Sydney. I'm so excited to be here because I love integrating people from where I'm from into this podcast to show Ohio is a force to be reckoned with and we are not just farmland.
Exactly.
I read she's played with the US women's national team five different parts of her life. So I want to kind of rewind back to your youth. As you guys can see, we are currently sitting in the Ohio State women's locker room facility. So that is where Sydney currently plays. But I want to bring it back to what got us here. What made you want to play soccer rather than dancing or cheering or basketball? Where was the start?
So I have an older sister who's 2 years older. Both my parents were athletes, so we, naturally
Play
were
the
athletic,
sport.
and our parents were like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna play a sport and you're gonna do all of them." So we grew up. My dad put me in softball, soccer, basketball, did some martial arts in there, everything. Exactly, everything.
I can just see it now.
And so my sister started playing soccer first, and I kind of just played every sport that she did, and soccer just kind of stuck. Basketball stuck for a while, but I just knew where I was with soccer. Just the level I wanted to play at was just much higher. Basketball was kind of just fun, shoot hoops, but soccer was real for me. So.
Yeah, and I'd like to bring that up because I went to middle school with Sydney, and I remember she was a part of a team that I feel like we could go on for hours about this team. That even though I played in a different age bracket because she was born in 2002 and I was born in 2003, this team was I think any girl that played soccer in Ohio looked up to this group of girls. And I moved into the area that she grew up in. I feel like around the time that they started to track a lot of motion, like they were just everyone knew starting at age like 12, like these girls are gonna play like Division 1 college soccer, which is crazy to think about. Like these girls aren't even driving cars, but you could probably see them on TV. And I remember going to middle school with her and finally putting a name to a face. And then when winter came around, she's playing basketball. I'm like, hold up now. She's playing on probably the best club team in the United States at the time, your Cup Gold
Yeah.
02 team.
Yeah.
She don't let her downplay it. Like they were, I just remember being like, yeah. Like I remember this is so much shade, but not shade at the same time. My club, because I played for a different club, had like an ugly sweater Christmas party, and you know what I wore? A regular sweater with a cup sticker on it. Because we were just we were the biggest haters. Like because they played at a level that was very hard to like compare to, right? And so it's really cool to see that not only was she able to play soccer on a competitive team like that, but she also played basketball up
Yeah.
until you went to college, right?
I played freshman year of high school.
Just
That was the
freshman
last
year of high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was so good at that, she could have probably played at Ohio State too. So what caused you to not continue with basketball? Was it just like soccer got to a point where you couldn't do both?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously played my freshman year was my last year, and Lakota West was really good.
Yeah.
That was probably the last year, maybe even my sophomore year, that they were like really, really, really good, and all those girls graduated that are like all D1 now.
It was like the Abby Prohaska era.
Yeah, that era,
Yep.
which was insane. So I made JV my freshman year.
Boo. Sorry.
One,
let me
like,
not.
One, that's never happened to me, but also I was so happy to be on JV because I just never had the same love I had for basketball
as
I did for soccer.
Yeah.
And not to like crap on Coach Fishman, but like he did not really like dual sported athletes. Like there were times where I'd be like, I practice like after I kind of need to leave like 5 minutes early, and he'd be like, what are you doing? And I'll be like, soccer's my main thing.
You're like,
you know?
babes, you don't understand. Like, this is going to pay for my college. Like, this
Exactly.
basketball thing
I'm
is
like-
not.
Yeah, so, and then by that time, freshman year, I'm already committed to Ohio State.
Okay.
So, like, there was just I was like, you know what, I don't even like basketball that much, but, like, it was fun for, a while, but,
It's
done.
not worth it at this point.
yeah, and that's
Gotcha.
when I just decided to not show up to tryouts.
She's like,
bye.
so when was it so you said early on that you played a lot of sports and you kind of realized at a young age that, okay, the soccer thing, I'm kind of good at it,
Yeah.
okay? When, do you have like a vivid memory of some sort where you're like, you remember like maybe like a state championship or a regional or national where you're like, okay, I'm good, but like, I think I'm like a little better than good. And I don't even mean
Yeah.
that in an arrogant standpoint. I just mean, I feel like most athletes have a memory or a moment where they knew that like this was their calling.
Yeah, I think when we switched to like 11v11, so that age, I don't even know how old you really should be, but when we switched to 11v11, I got my position switched, so I became a defender. And that was like a huge freak out because growing up, like I was good. My mom even told me that. She's like, Sydney, you like kind of weren't that good when you were really young. And I was like, dang, Mom. But
So what were you before a defender?
I was like an outside forward, right outside
Oh,
forward. So I
shoot.
just moved right back to outside back.
I feel like both those wing positions can kind of like translate
Yeah.
into the other, but
Yeah.
that's still like a big change because you're going from an offensive position to
Mhm.
a polar opposite.
Yeah, and then you're also like, it's 11v11, so there's more people, more running to do. And ever since that happened, like the first 11v11 like scrimmage we did, like I was like flying up and down that line. Like most outside backs, I think more defensive. As years change, like now, like we're getting to attack. Like a lot of like coaches love when outside backs get forward, and I was doing that, and I just kept hearing my coach saying like, you're really good there. Like now we can add this level to you, blah blah. And that was the first moment I was kind of like, I'm like, this is like my position, and I could be like really good at it. And then I think the big changing point was when we went to like showcases and stuff, and there's college coaches. Like when I got my first couple emails, I was like,
Like,
So-
okay, this might get some school pay for me,
yeah,
girl.
exactly. You don't know until like it actually happens.
Yeah.
And then I was getting my like these coaches wanted to talk to me. I got emails, and I was like, oh, I might be good at this.
It's
Like,
all in theory, right? Like you're told you're good and you're playing at a competitive level, but until you're actually seeing it like in
Yeah.
hand, like this transition into like something you're playing for fun, because essentially you were playing for fun until you got here. This is where it's like, okay, this is kind of a job too, because if I want school, I play soccer type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a big thing for athletes is once you get that recognition of, okay, I'm not just good, but I'm good enough that this can pay for my school.
Yeah.
It takes you
Yeah.
into a whole different place in life. So you played in as all through your youth and in middle school, and then high school came around, which this was kind of interesting, and I kind of want to talk about this, and for people that played soccer to like kind of get insight on this. You played for the Development Academy
Yeah.
in Ohio, in Cincinnati. And there was a rule or regulation where like you couldn't play high school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I see her and Kaylin and Maddie, which were 3 girls that I grew up seeing in the spotlight in soccer, start playing high school soccer. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Who's coming to like play? And at that point, that's when I had stopped. So I was like, good luck to anyone else playing against them because you're about to get ran through. But what happened exactly for that to be allowed? Because I never knew of like a change that you could play like club, high school, and club
Yeah.
for DA.
I actually have no idea. I just remember Maddie Praska coming up to me and being like, you know, we can play high school next year, right? And I was like, are you for real? Like, we can? They're like, yeah, we kind of just found like a loophole a little bit. Like, because I don't really know what it was, but there was something with the age group. So, like, we were playing basically up a year
Okay.
almost. It was like 2 age groups together. So it wasn't like 02, 03. It was 02 and 01. So we were playing with them. And somehow the split, like your age, changed that since they're all going to college, you know? So, like, they didn't really need you around that time. I have no idea. But she came up to me. She said, we can play high school now. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, let's do it.
Let's do
so
it.
all 3 of us were like, yeah, we're going.
And at that point in time, you guys were still all on the same club team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that year.
And you guys played club together. I guess Maddie went to school early, but you 3 essentially played club together until you went to college. Wow.
So crazy. Yeah,
And
we
what-
literally started on the same exact team.
So how many girls was it that was from the original team that you had all the way through until college? Like the majority of that team?
I will say, like, we started, like, when we were really, really little. Same coach and same course, 6 people made it all the way through 8th grade on the same team.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
after that, people kind of decided to do their own
and then
thing.
it was kind of me, Kaylin, and Maddie were the last ones that were left because we went to the
Last
same
3.
high school.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that was such an iconic time to watch soccer if you were, from our area, but that's wild.
Yeah.
So you then transitioned to Ohio State. What was that like? What was first day on the block as a Buckeye like? I can imagine that was a pretty big transition.
Yeah, so I graduated early. I left high school semester early, came here in January, and got COVID immediately. Like, immediately. It was like COVID times where athletes got tested every single morning at 6 a.m. It's like freezing cold outside, and they like test you and they call your name if you're free to go. My name didn't get called, so
She's like,
I had to go. I had to go
I'm not
quarantine
leaving.
for 10 days in a hotel here.
in a hotel?
Yeah, the Blackwell. Yeah.
Wait. What about your dorm or your?
Oh,
wait,
no.
Did you live in?
I had COVID, so like I couldn't be with anybody. First day I got here, like literally got sent to a hotel.
And they like, I hope they covered that.
Oh yeah, that was all
Okay.
covered. It was fine, but like I had to stay there and
Do nothing.
literally do nothing. Like I
Could
wasn't
have
allowed to
become
work
TikTok
out.
famous.
I know. I know. But like got there, walked in, right, had problems getting to my room, of course. Like this is probably one of the worst days like that ever cuz I'm like I was so excited to train and be with the team and like meet everybody. I have no idea.
Ohio State soccer player. Like, damn.
I know, I had no idea who any of them were. And I walk into the room, I have a roommate. You're telling me I have COVID. She has COVID.
So did she
And
have
we're just
COVID?
Apparently, yeah. We both tested
So
positive.
why didn't they just let you guys be in the hotel together so at least you had somebody?
Well, we were in the room, but I had no idea who this girl was. So I had to stay in this room with her. And, like, they took all the hotel beds out. We have, like, dorm beds, like, little dorm, like, twin XL beds. And, like,
In your
one
hotel
sheet.
room?
Yeah. They took out the hotel beds because it was, like, basically the quarantine hotel. Yeah.
Wait,
It was
what?
awful.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this. This is crazy. So was it like just all Ohio State students with COVID just filled this
Yeah.
building up?
Yeah. And, like, no one on my team tested positive, obviously. So, like, it was just this random girl, and I was like, hi. And I lived with her for 10 days.
And she was your teammate or no?
No, random girl. She
Shout out
was
to her.
old, too, yeah.
Where were you at?
She was nice. She was cool, but she also, like, I didn't have any symptoms. So I'm, like, thinking, like, okay, maybe it's, like, a false positive or something like that. So I'm, like, scared because she's got COVID. So what if I get out of here and I get actual COVID and I have to be in here for 20 days, you know? Like, I was so worried. And she kept coming in, like, I can finally smell again. I'm like,
And you're like, oh my God, am I about
like-
to lose all my abilities
I
to
know, I'm like,
taste, smell,
back
touch?
Back away. Yeah, but that happened. So
Okay, so you get out of that after after your 10-day hold
yeah,
in a hotel, and then you, I guess, get tested again.
and I got tested, and I tested positive for like myocarditis, which is a
What is that?
which is like a heart thing where there's like little kind of like little scars in your heart that COVID causes, I guess. So like you can't work out. So they got to get that under control. So I couldn't train basically like for the whole first like month and a half that I got here. It sucked. It was terrible. I just had to sit and watch. And then there was one day at training, my like trainer came out. She goes, "You can practice," and I was like, "Really?" And like everyone's like, "Yeah, go get your stuff on. Go get." I'm like running in here, like putting on my stuff, and like I only got
That
to
was
warm
probably
up,
the best
but
day of your life.
yeah, it was. I was so excited to warm up. Like I was so.
Just to-
That's
just
the
to-
only thing I was allowed to do, but I was so excited.
like literally all she had to do is stretch, but that was probably the best day ever, just not being in a hotel room,
Yeah.
right? So you do that, and then you don't play until that following fall, right?
Yeah, so like the rule was we tried to get it like voided or whatever, but like if you graduate early, you couldn't play because that was the COVID season. They played that season, like they had a whole season in the spring.
Oh,
Like the COVID year, because you know how COVID took away that fall, so they didn't have a.
so they played soccer that
season.
following spring to make up for the fall?
Yeah.
Wait, so then you know how some athletes are granted an additional year of school
Mhm.
because of COVID?
Yeah, I didn't get that because I didn't play.
Wait,
So-
I don't understand. So since they had that makeup spring, why did they have another year if they got that season back?
It was like they just played like so they didn't play at all in the fall. Like you know when you usually come in,
Yeah.
like you come in the summer, and then you would have that fall. They didn't have that. It was all quarantined, locked down. So they kind of just were here, and then they moved it to the following spring.
Yep, so it would have
That's
been
when I
spring
came.
2021.
Yeah, that's when I came. So they just made that a season.
But you
was
didn't
weird.
play that,
I
right?
wasn't allowed, no, because like they said that I played club soccer that whole fall, which
When you're
I,
like,
didn't.
I'm pretty sure it was COVID. Like, we couldn't even
exactly.
go touch the grass, let alone
Exactly.
play in it.
And the funny thing is that all the players that got to play that spring came back and played a season in the fall. So I'm like, they got literally no rest. So I'm like, what is different about me, you know? So, but
You know, that's
Yeah.
not up to us.
yeah.
Okay, so the fall finally comes,
Mhm.
and that's your first ever season, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're actually touching grass.
Mhm.
What was that experience like?
I mean, obviously towards the end of the spring I got to like practice and train. I couldn't play in games, but like practicing helped a lot. So like coming in, I already had like the connections built and you know, the speed of play down. But when I tell you I got slapped in the face when it came into like fitness, like bad. Like I was in the back of everything.
Really?
It's never like this is probably the first time that I've actually felt like dang, like I don't even know if like am I like made out for this? Like am I cut to play at a college level? Because like the fitness was so brutal. Like 30 yards behind everybody. Like I was so far back.
And this was when fall, once you kind of saw,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm having a little.
Yeah. This is like the summer. We like
Summer.
come in the summer, like summer
Conditioning.
conditioning. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So that first season was is who plays based off of fitness, or is it based off of like abilities on the field, or a mix of both, or what?
It's like you have a fitness test that you have to pass to play, and so obviously that whole summer is geared towards that. Like you're like building up for the fitness test. Like if you don't pass that fitness, you have to keep running until you pass so you
Yeah.
can play. And so that's what was going on in my mind. Like there's no way I'm gonna pass this fitness test if I'm like this far behind everybody. So like yeah, that was my first like real test as like an athlete.
Your real like realization of, okay, I gotta get something together
Yeah.
to get this going. So I assume you passed, 'cause then the season comes.
Yeah, I passed the second time. I
Hey.
failed the first time. That was my first fail, and oh my gosh, it was like literally, it was so bad. But then I got back
I
up,
feel like
did
that-
it, passed.
That like almost ignites a flame to like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta turn this up, because I think when you're used to being the best of the best where you're from, and then you're risen to a level of all the best, like, 'cause now you're playing with all the best
Yeah.
of the best. It's a different like comparison, 'cause Lakota West, no shade at all, but like that was probably a joke in a sense to you,
Yeah.
or like, I hate the word joke, but like it was very easy to you.
Yeah,
it was
wasn't
very,
high
very
level
easy.
at all, but
And that fitness test was probably like you could have done it in your sleep.
Mhm.
But then when you're coming and you're playing against a bunch of Sydneys that are all that, best of the best state level. It's going to challenge you, but then that's going to get you set up into a good place to what the future holds ahead of you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it all's worth it. So on that note, you're going into your senior season, right?
Yeah.
Are you excited, nervous?
A little bit of both. I mean, I'm coming off of an injury. I just played my first game against a actual team, or it was a scrimmage, but against another team Saturday.
And how did
I
that
was
go?
It was good. I got to play 20 minutes tops because return to play protocol, but I mean, it went well. I felt like myself again.
Good.
So. It was
And
good.
when did that injury happen?
It happened, basically, it was all last fall. I played through my injury.
Okay.
Not really knowing what it was, but I just knew I was in a lot of pain, but I had to play through it. Turned out to be a small tear in my tendon in my knee, and I got to choose do I want to get it fixed, do I not? I ended up getting it fixed in November, right after the season. Missed my whole spring, and then now I'm finally back and
You're back
ready.
with it. Got
Yeah.
it. On that note, I assume throughout your career you've probably had some hardships, injury-wise, mental-wise, physically-wise. What do you think of all of the injuries and all of those experiences you've gone through have been the hardest thing to overcome as an athlete of your level?
Yeah. I honestly have been very lucky to not have any injuries besides this one. And
Oh,
this one
wow.
was yeah.
Yeah, God's
This
on
one
your
was
side.
a choice, kind of. I chose to have the surgery, so it was much easier going into it knowing that I had, this
Yeah.
time it wasn't always abrupt. But I think the hardest seasons were the ones where you kind of lose your love for the sport a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
think that's more of the emotional side of things than
Yeah.
physical side, because I think especially when you play for you're pushing 20 years at this point.
I
You're a
know.
vet, man.
I
Kids look
know.
up to you and be like, "She's old." But there's definitely you can't. No one can sit here and say that it's always been perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've always woken up and been like, "Yay, soccer! This is the greatest thing ever."
Oh, yeah, no.
That's just not the reality of it, So I appreciate that you admit it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows.
No.
There was definitely times where you're like, "Is this what I'm made for? Is this what I'm meant for?" Especially when you were, gifted in other areas of your life, such as basketball and school. So, I think it's important that people realize it's not just the physical damage these sports do, but what it does to your mental and overcoming that. And on that note, what do you find the most helpful when you're feeling a little unmotivated or just tired or not your best version of yourself in the game?
Well, one, there's always prayer.
There's-
Power of prayer, everything.
Yeah.
That literally saved me. And I only found that until my sophomore year, my road with God and everything. That was my sophomore year of college. So I didn't have that before, but I knew before that was just my discipline.
Mhm.
My dad disciplined me like crazy. My mom disciplined me like crazy. So just because I don't want to do something doesn't mean I need to. And
Yeah.
just going back on that, I am not gonna wake up every morning and be happy to play my sport, unfortunately. But there's just some days I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to practice at 6 a.m. I don't want to have to fly really far to go play a team that I don't want to play. There's just times where that happens, but also I know I need to do it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to love it afterwards, and I'm going to love
Yeah.
the experience. So my discipline is probably the most important. And the biggest thing I think my dad taught me was just discipline takes you way farther than motivation can, because you're not going to be motivated at all, at all times.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful way to put it. Another thing, I was just talking to my trainer about this the other day. I just feel so many, recently life's just been, kicking my ass. And I'm like, man, it's just she said, you can sit here and you can just talk about it and vent and just complain about it. Or you can actually do what's hard, and then it afterwards won't be as hard. And in life, you can sit and talk about the hard things and not accomplish them and always talk about them or do them, and then they're in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of ties in with motivation in comparison to discipline, because I can always sit here and be like, "Go, Sydney, go, you got it." But what is that when Sydney needs to have the discipline to continuously do it? And even with this podcast, even though I'm only doing it on a monthly basis, like it's like a whole thing, right? I got to reach out to Tucker, got to reach out to you, I got to do the text, I got to set up the outfits, the whole thing. And it's just like the discipline of doing it. So I think it's important, especially that you had, parental figures that instilled that in you, and that you always had someone telling you, like, you need to have the discipline, like they enforce that in you. So I'm glad they had that. Shout out to dad and mom, wherever you're at. Like, I know you're probably going to watch this episode, so kudos to you. So senior season. What are you looking forward to? What are the best parts about traditions, trips with your team? Like, what are the highlights that you're looking forward to this season? And then after that, what are the things that you're a little nervous about, but again, discipline, we're going to get through those.
Yeah. I'm excited to play Duke. That's like my only focus. Like, we play Duke.
Is that a big game?
That's a big game. That's a really good game. Like, we win that.
Is it at home?
Yeah.
Let's go! Everyone be at Jesse Owens, whatever day it is.
It's free to get in. All free.
I'll post whatever day it is. I don't know what it is, but you'll see Sydney's face on my Instagram at least 30 times over the next, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, so I'm, like,
We're there.
big, like, one game at a time person. So, like, Duke's Thursday, that's the only thing
Wait.
I'm focused on.
That's the first game?
First game. First real game. Home opener.
Okay, so I love that she says we go game by game, because you know what? We're not even going to look into the rest of the season. We're going to talk about the first game this Thursday, 7 p.m., Jesse Owens. This episode won't even be out yet.
I know.
Sorry,
You
guys,
probably,
but
like,
I'll still
already
post it.
won, you know.
You know, they've already beat Duke. They're on to
Yeah.
what's the first game in September that we
Oh,
can promote?
Oh, I don't know that game. In September?
This comes out the last day of August.
I know, but, like, the first day of September. I don't know the first game of September.
Okay.
I don't know my schedule.
Whatever
like
game's
that.
coming up, I'm gonna post the schedule on the Save the Best feed, and you guys can pull up and so show Sydney some love.
Yeah.
So you're excited about the Duke game.
I'm
That's-
so excited. I mean, Duke's like,
What are they like? Is there like preseason ranks?
yeah, and I think they're in the top 25.
Dang.
I mean, they always have good recruits. They always have good, freshman class that comes in. Like, they're known to be really good. But I know that it's the first game of season, so, like, anything
can
grabs,
happen.
Yeah.
I love that.
And we're also really good too, so.
So like they got this. Be there
Yeah.
7 p.m. This will already be out, but you get the gist. Okay, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
Do we have anything that we're a little worried about, or we are gonna overcome this season? I mean, I guess your injury in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, that, like, I kind of just take it, like, game by game. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
grateful to be on the field again. Like, going back to that, like, that's just my thing that I want to focus on this year is just, like, just being grateful every time I step on the field.
Yeah.
Because it's not guaranteed ever.
Not promised ever. Yeah.
So,
no.
like, being happy I get up to practice. Because, like, there were times in the spring when I was, like, on crutches still, and I'm just like, I just want to practice so bad. I just want to run. I hate
I just
running.
want to walk. Like,
yeah, I just want to
when you're on
walk normal, like, be able
when
to
you're on
bend my
crutches,
knees, like, do
yeah.
a squat and not, like, hurt, you know?
I can
so-
imagine.
Now I'm just trying to, like, go back, think about those moments, like, okay, like, I want to be here. So when I find myself, like, not wanting to practice, like, being like, no, you want to be here. Like, you wanted to be here for a while, so.
That's
yeah.
good. Hey, comes back to the discipline, guys. If you need your
Yeah.
discipline, you know who to hit up. She'll serve you a little bit on a plate. Yep, you got it.
And then definitely in the back of my head, I try to push it back there because I'm a big, like, team player. Like, this is about our team. Like, each game's about the team. Game day is about the team and us just being the best that we can be. But in the back of my head, like, I'm trying to go pro at the end of this. So, like, that's there and, like, the worries of, like, the unknown. But I
Yeah.
also know if I'm worrying about that, it's not going to help at all. So just trying to stay calm with that.
Understood. On
Yeah.
that topic, though, as I love to do my little transitions, pro. That's what I'm saying. When I started off with this intro, this will be my intro recap. She's basically won every state title that you possibly can imagine, and every regional title and every national title that I watched her win as a child and be like, this girl is the most badass human being I've ever seen in my life. And now she's going to go play pro. So on that note, what does the pro world look like? Are you not really sure because you got to finish the season and then that conversation comes about? But do you know, like, what the recruitment process looks like and, like, what the options that are available for you look like?
Yeah, I've had 3 teammates in the past that have gone pro, recently actually, so I kind of have spoken with them a couple of times. So normally, like, during the season, you're in season, focus on
Yeah.
the season. Afterwards is when, you get the calls, like, talk to coaches a little bit, like left and right, and it's all within a span of like a month. Like it's short, and you receive calls, you talk with them about whatever, and then by January, beginning of January is the draft. And
Oh, wow.
The draft is set up basically like the NFL draft, NBA draft, same concept.
Yeah.
Obviously not that big of a scale, not
Should
that many
be.
spots. Exactly. But not that many spots. But there's also been talk about them not having a draft because kind of like if you were to go play overseas, like you're not getting drafted, you're just going to get signed. So
That's what I was gonna ask. So, from my experience with my friends that either play professional soccer or are playing professional soccer currently, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that playing overseas is the right verbiage for this. A better opportunity than playing in the States. Is
yeah,
that typically correct, or depends on the league?
I guess it depends on like you personally.
Okay.
I think at least. So like overseas is where you get like they say this, but it's not 100% true, but like in the NWSL here in America, like there's just a lot of transition running. Like sometimes you just go against people that are like literal track stars that are really
Yeah.
really good, and you don't see much of like the possession, like interchanging more, or, like switching the ball. I'm like, yeah, you do. So I don't want to like I like the NWSL, so I don't want to like crap on it, but like it's just different type of soccer,
Okay.
especially because like overseas, different countries. Like every time you see like the World Cup, like every country plays different, but America plays way different than every other country in my opinion. So it's just different and geared towards you. I personally I went over to play with Chelsea for a little bit, and it was so much different than being here because I don't even know how to like explain it.
Based off of, this is like a whole different conversation, but
Yeah.
based off of like pay and finances and what the team can actually do for your future, is it pretty similar in that component too, or is it different? Like, is what they can offer you as a player of your benefits, is it different in the States than it is overseas?
No. No, not at all.
They're similar?
Overseas is like the money.
Okay.
That's the money.
Okay.
And here, like, I mean, you're making as much as like a teacher. Like
That's what I thought, and I was like, let me not just say this because this is what I think I know,
Yeah.
but that's what I've seen because I know a girl and a guy, and both of them have played here in the MLS and this is terrible, I don't know the women's acronym, what is it?
NWSL.
NWSL, thank you. That now play overseas, and it's not the same.
No.
Like, their lifestyle isn't the same. Like,
Yeah.
I see it, and I talk to them, and I know it's not the same. And I guess it kind of depends on, like, the opportunities that you're given and, like, the path you want to take. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So I guess you won't really know what that looks like until the end of the season.
Yeah, no.
right?
I like literally have no idea. I don't know what coach is looking at me, if there's any looking at me. I don't know if there's you don't know anything, and it all happens within that 1 month.
So are you allowed to invite those coaches to come watch you play?
I mean they're already watching.
Okay.
There's no real like point. You can always email and like reach out.
Because I just didn't
About-
know if, like, PSG women's coach is going to come. You know what I mean? Like, come
Yeah.
from another country and, like, sit. I didn't know if there's, like, I know with college soccer, like, of course there's showcases, right? And there's just a ton of college coaches just sitting all around.
Yeah.
But with international, it's kind of different because talking about getting on a plane and going overseas to watch someone play. So I didn't know if it was like an invitation type thing or they just show up.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't think they even come over here. One, because like
I guess they
if
can
you're
watch it
going
online.
to play, yeah, they can
Yeah.
watch it online. That they'll know if you're good, they'll know about you.
Yeah.
But it's also like with pro, it's about connections
Yeah.
and who you know. But also when you go overseas, there's international spots and you only get a certain amount. So like
Yeah.
it's not very likely they're gonna get people from over here. They'd rather take people from like their academy teams that they already know.
Have like grown and like raised
Yeah,
into
and
those
have been in
spots.
there,
Okay,
so-
that makes sense.
Yeah, once you get on the pro level though, like when you're in the NWSL, that's when stuff changes and you start to get noticed a little bit more. People are with their national teams, whatever. Then there's a little bit of flip flop, but it's just funny because a lot of the like U.S. national team girls have gone to play for like teams overseas and they never last, like longer than like a little bit. It's like really weird because it's just the style.
Yeah.
But they do so good here. And they also win. Like, they just won the Olympics. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
It's
how
just
it is.
the style, yeah. That's wild. So, back to the college note until we get into all the fashion guru stuff. What has it been like for you balancing college? Because you have school, you have friendships, you have soccer, you have just life in general, family, religion. What's the balance been like? Because that's one thing as a college athlete. Like, I went to college here working 40 hours a week, and that's what I can compare it to is you're essentially working 40 hours a week.
Mhm.
And that was one of the hardest years of my life. Like, I really don't know how I made it through. And so I have to ask, like, what's it like to balance that? And what, I know you've said pray, but what else in your day-to-day regime does that look like to be able to make it through as a college athlete?
Yeah. The thing that helps the most, I think, is that, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it must be really, really hard to be a D1 athlete. Yes, it is, but like timing-wise, like our practice only takes up the morning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the day, I have the whole rest of my day to do whatever I need to do. Yes, I'm tired, but it's not like that bad. Yeah, discipline. Thank you. Discipline. But like I have like, you know, my classes and my homework, and I can always do that. Like I have the rest of the day to do all that. Now when we travel, it gets annoying to like have to email, hey, I'm not going to be in class today. Can you send me, you know, whatever I need to? But I think the one thing that I always struggled with was the friendship aspect. I had a hard time like keeping in touch with friends just because my focus is always with soccer and what I want to do. So that's always been hard for me, but I'm a big person on like keeping my circle small. And like, you know, you have those 2-3 friends that like
have your
you
back.
have, and then obviously I have my teammates. Like I have 25 girls in here that I'm close with that, you know, I love and that are all going to be my best friends and probably be at each other's weddings and everything like that. So it's just like it's not as hard as people may think if it's been your life, you know.
Yeah, you're so used to, I mean, you've essentially had this lifestyle for 21 going on 22 years. So that's a good way to put it. And I think, you know, you always put priorities of what matters to you, and this is what matters to you in school, what matters to you. So I think discipline, guys, we keep going back to that, but I think that's the most important component. On that note, before we get into the styling, what did you go to school for? Communications. So down the line, if and when the day comes that you retire, do you have an idea outside of soccer what other interests, hobbies, jobs you'd be interested in? You know, this wouldn't be till she's like 40 or 50 because she's going to basically play until her legs fall off.
Hopefully I had a really great career and can just retire and do whatever I want. But I don't know. I really like the, you know, social media world. I mean, I've been trying to grow my TikTok a little bit.
What's the TikTok? You got to drop the handle.
Sid Jones 6. Please go follow. Thank you. But that's something that I've really liked.
And I feel like with this, like, I'm just going to put it out there because I'm really diving full-fledged into it. You got so much that, like, you can make, like, TikToks and content, and, like, you have 25 people that you can do it with. I feel like this year, I know school and soccer need to come first, but I've seen, what's the kid's name that played at Duke and now he's a professional basketball player? You know exactly what I'm
Jared
talking
McCain,
about.
the basketball player. Yeah.
Like, that kid is a wizard. He's a genius because he just props up his phone right there and does his little
dance.
Whatever he's
making
doing.
Millions for that dance. Like,
and he's probably making the same off that dance that the NBA's paying him.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many ways with the internet and even, like, brand deals and companies that you could literally be on the sideline with a Prime or a Gatorade. And I think I can definitely see you doing that. So always remember that you can incorporate that into soccer and into your life. So I think that's sick. Well, the last note is fashion. So I know my favorite part. Well, I love soccer too. I don't want that to be not unnoted, but fashion. I feel like anyone that knows Sydney or is tapped into her social media, she obviously knows. She knows what she's doing, okay? That's why I was super excited about this episode because I'm like, okay, this girl knows what she's doing. When did fashion actually start to become, like, a thing for you? Because I feel like as an athlete, you're so used to wearing, like, tech suit, a sweatsuit, like what you have on right now. But, like, although she's wearing that right now, like, she can really put that shit on. Like, there's really no other way of putting it. Excuse the 4 cuss words I've used this whole episode. But, like, she really can. And so I want to know like when that started to like incorporate fashion into being an athlete and where you want that to go.
Yeah, I think shout out to my grandma because my grandma
I love
got
that.
so angry that me and my sister wore sweatpants to school. So like after 7th grade, you did not catch me in sweatpants like ever. Like I did not wear sweatpants to school. And she always like, you need to look presentable. Like we need to go shopping. So we went shopping like once a week, pretty much. Like
Grandma really
bad.
she's
So-
clutch though.
Yeah, I know, like she is. So she always wanted me to look presentable, like wear jeans to school, like whatever. And I actually like really I looked forward to like going to the shopping trips and like me and my
Like,
grandma like put
Grandma.
outfits together.
Going to Kenwood, let's go.
So definitely, she was definitely the person that got me started with that. And then throughout high school, I just never wanted to wear what everyone else wore.
Yeah.
Like it was just like kind of boring, And like I fell into it obviously because it's like you kind of want to fit in high school, but you kind of don't want to. And
That's what's cool about college though.
yeah,
I feel like-
college changed the game for me.
Exactly, because I feel like in high school, I 100% feel that. Like, I think towards the end of high school when I really just started giving a single 1, 2, or 3, and people were just like, "What are you wearing?" But like, I was at a point where I didn't care, and that's what makes
Yeah.
it fun is when you don't care. Because
Exactly.
yeah, you don't look like I showed up to this facility, and I know every athlete that walked by me was probably like, "What is this girl wearing? Like, what is she doing here?" But like at the same time, they probably were also thinking like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And that one thought is like why I do what I do and like a reason why I have so much like credit and like appreciate you so much because you wear things that are very Sydney-esque. Like I can't say like, "Oh, Sydney reminds me of this," like she doesn't. She reminds me of Sydney. And I appreciate that because a lot of people, to her point, go to college and are like, okay, depending on like where you go to college, because the South is a whole nother story. But like Ohio State, like your Lulu sets and your this, and like there's definitely styles and trends in college,
Yeah.
right? And I think when you're in high school and you're like trying to fit in, but then you also want to have your own style, college is cool because you then get to a point where like I can do whatever I want. Like, like there's so many kids here, like
Exactly.
you're just so independently you, and I think that's awesome. So as it stands, like what's your inspo? Where is your style like currently? What do you like to wear? What have you kind of like don't really like to wear?
When the season starts, like my style like definitely goes down, like my whole brain, because I'm just like athlete mode, walk in the facility, whatever. But I get to a point where I start when I go places and I'm like, okay, like I need some fits. So definitely Pinterest. My girl Maya Martyr.
Oh
she's
yeah,
at
I'm
Dakota
hip.
West.
She's another person. I don't know. She's still playing college soccer? No.
I don't think so. She's
We gotta-
graduated now.
When season's over, us three need to sit down.
Yeah.
That would be a good episode.
Yeah.
We could just pull out fits.
I mean, she's just on TikTok like
I've seen her
thrifting
fits.
stuff, and then
She-
her boyfriend obviously too. Like they kind of
Yeah.
do it together, and she was always cool. I knew I always liked her, and then she started like putting on these fits in college, and she just started to change. She like found her like group of people. I think became more comfortable with like what she wanted to wear. So she's definitely an inspiration. And just being different
Yeah.
is kind of my thing. Like I don't want to wear what everyone else wants to wear. Like I want to be completely separate.
Which I think on the thrifting note, I think thrifting and upcycling is such a cool component. And I know exactly who you're talking about. She went to West, I think, right? I would always see her on occasion, like on social media, because people would repost her and like see her fits. And that's the type of person. Like no one really dresses like Maya. You know what I mean? Like that's a Maya fit. And I think it's cool that people can thrift and upcycle and literally, even to your grandma's point, like my grandma, when my grandpa passed away, she had us all pull up to her house and just kind of go crazy, which is like super random. But like, who knew grandpa had drip?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
Exactly.
this shirt is fire. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this is not my grandpa's. I do not want that. I don't want to give him that much credit, but he had, like, you know what I mean? You can find things within anything. Like, I
Yeah.
could probably throw a fit on with everything I find in here. It's just you got to have the brain for it.
Exactly. And like even the people like on TikTok or like Instagram, like if you start liking stuff, like it's just gonna keep coming up.
Yeah,
to them.
exactly.
And I found the people that I like, to look at. They like show me places to shop at, so I'm like
Yeah.
always looking at those places, and it's just about like putting it together yourself and making it your
100%.
own.
Social media that's a whole nother conversation we could get into.
Yeah.
You can find anything through that.
Exactly.
Well, Tucker, where are we at time wise? 44. Okay, perfect. On the note of fashion, we had a couple ideas of clothes we were going to put together, which this was super easy because I was like, all right, let me just scroll through her Instagram real quick, find some things I like, find some things I have, make a little happy family. And so she's got so many cool pieces that I'm like, oh my God, those are so sick. She's got a lot of things that she probably like upcycled or thrifted, but then she also has like luxury goods that she can mix into it. I like her style, and it's very easy to incorporate with things. So we cooked up a couple different outfits, but the winner ended up being this. So without further ado, this is Sydney's look for the episode. And we're back. Okay. So, Sydney's outfit. We kind of went back and forth between something like what I'm wearing and what she's currently wearing, but we ended up liking this better. Which is kind of the child of two outfits we've both already worn. So, I have to start with my favorite part of this outfit, which unfortunately isn't mine, it's Sydney's. So, when she's sleeping, I could steal them from her, but whatever. Her Chrome Hearts tights. Those are so badass, and I need to find them, and Andrew needs to send me the link because ever since she wore them, I'm like, those are so sickening. So, tights are from Chrome, which obviously they're absolutely gorgeous. And then we just have some red stilettos with an ankle cuff to kind of bring in the details from the red jacket. And then we have the infamous Zara Chanel dupe skirt, which I love that skirt because if you turn around, Sydney, it's shorts. Like, what? She could go run. She could play soccer in them. Like, what? Love it. And then we got the pearls. Just some, you guys know I love those pearls. I feel like I'm going to style everyone in the pearls and just do a segment on those damn pearls. But anyway, love the layered pearls with the racer jacket that was bought from someone that it's, you can ask Sydney, like, that thing is heavy. Like, you could actually race and, like, be good if you wrecked the car in that thing. So, it's not light. And then, of course, we had to do the Mischief bag that I've been promoting on every platform everywhere. And it is sold out, but it will be restocked soon. But thanks to Mischief for getting that bag my way. So that's her look. I love it. I love that the reds are all together, but we still have the black look with the chrome because they're very, more of a dark look. If you want to sit down, you can kind of just talk about it and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And you can be brutal. You can give me a
Brutal?
6 if you're really feeling a 6 today. Let me hear it. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, what you would change.
Well, this is definitely something that I'm not used to wearing. I'm a little more reserved, but I actually aspire to be more out there. So I do like it a lot. I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's just very different from what I normally wear.
Okay,
So I'm gonna give it
I
an 8.
respect the 8. Okay.
And also, I have no idea what I really look like because I've only seen one picture of myself, so I have no idea. But
See it on the episode. That'll be the first time she really sees it.
yeah, but no, I think it's really cute. I think the colors work well. I obviously love these tights. They were a gift.
No,
My
that's not
favorite.
from her secret admirer. I love those. He really did his biggest one with the
He
tights.
did. And I walked downstairs and he was like, "I have a gift. Cover your eyes." I was like, "Okay." So I covered my eyes. Got in the car. And he was like, "Open them." And I'm like, "What is this?" Because it was just I just saw Chrome Heart, the cardboard. And
Yeah.
I was like, "She
You're
gave
like,
me
what
a piece
could
of
fit in this?
cardboard?" I don't know. And I opened it and I was like, "Oh, it's I literally couldn't tell." And then I saw them. I was like, "Wait a minute." I put them on. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, these.
Yep.
No, that's why I was like, hey, I told her to bring 3 things. I was like, bring a pair of your Timberlands, because we could probably do something with those. Bring the Chrome Hearts types, and bring your LV little pouch, because all of those can't go wrong. So, yeah, I love it. Maybe one day, we can take a stroll and she can wear her outfit, and she can actually see herself, because we were just like, here, put it on. But, yeah, that's our work. Well, Sydney, I appreciate you more than you know for everything you do for women in sports and for Cincinnati and Ohio and for even myself. You've always been someone to look up to in this athletic world. So huge kudos to you. Keep killing it on the field. Keep killing it with the fashion. Keep killing it with the school. Her pro debut is T-minus a year. I'm calling it now. So everyone look out for that. And I'm super excited for your senior season. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us today, and we'll see you soon. Peace.